Jeez, why do I always my eyes start watering?
Starving, remaining a topic, never an option, got you undivided whenever I'm plotting. Don't take it personal.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am back with my long-awaited labor and delivery story slash birth story, whatever you'd like to call it. It's been a long time coming. I recorded this video a while back. So halfway through editing, I realized that the video just really sucked, and it wasn't something that I wanted to post, so I just kind of stopped in the middle of it and I was just like, delete all of this, it was terrible. So now I am back finally. I feel good, and hopefully this video turns out a lot better than the last one. And if you guys stay tuned to the end, I will introduce Blake to YouTube. Let's just jump right into the video. So at 37 weeks, as you guys know, throughout my pregnancy I had a lot of problems. At this point at 37 weeks, I was going to the hospital twice a week, like 40 minutes away from my house, to be monitored, to make sure that baby's heart rate was doing okay. At this point, they also found that my placenta was dying, so she wasn't getting the proper nutrients that she should have been from my placenta. So basically at 37 weeks, I was at the point where I just wanted her to be out and to just, you know, be done with all of this. And not to mention, I still was working up until this point, and actually I worked up until the day before I got induced, or sorry, 2 days before I got induced. So at 37 weeks, I basically did everything. I tried primrose oil pills, I tried bouncing on the ball, I tried stairs, I would go to work and walk laps around my job, and none of that was working. So I tried castor oil, and you know, everybody just save your opinions on that because that was my choice. So I came home from work that night, bought some castor oil, and I came home and I took it, and I want to say I took it around 10:30, 11, between 10:30 and like 11:30 that night. And then I want to say around 2 a.m. that night, I woke up with like some really bad contractions, and I ended up obviously having diarrhea like they say you do, but that is what they say. The diarrhea causes your uterus to contract. So I was having contractions all the way from 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. and finally at like 7 a.m. I'm like, okay, these are like real contractions, like I think it's time for me to go to the hospital. So my husband and I went to the hospital, and when they checked me at the hospital, they said that I was 3 centimeters dilated. However, once I had gotten to the hospital, again, my hospital was like 45 minutes away from my house. So once I got there, the contractions had stopped. So they gave me like an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to walk around the hospital and see if I would progress or my contractions would pick back up. And if they had, then they were going to keep me, and then if not, then, you know, I would have to go home. So after walking the hospital, my husband had me like doing squats, doing lunges, like sprinting. We were trying everything that we possibly could to get this baby out.
Go! You're supposed to sprint. What are you doing? No, don't sprint. No, don't run. Start calling cadences and stuff. Get this girl in the route step. Left. Yo, left, right. Yo. Deep squats. Ass to grass.
And none of it worked. I hadn't progressed and my contractions had not picked back up, so they sent me home. I actually had an OB appointment the very next day, so I went in, she checked me, and she was like, yeah, you're not 3 centimeters, you're like maybe 2, but definitely not 3. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like, oh, seriously, like the worst news ever. Like I thought I was 3 centimeters, like I thought that this was gonna happen any day now. But I will say, after that appointment and after the hospital visit the day before, I started losing some of my mucus plug, or what I thought was my mucus plug. My 38-week appointment, which was the following week, because at this point obviously I was going once a week, it fell on a Thursday, and my doctor finally checked me again, and I was 3 centimeters dilated, she said, and my cervix was favorable, and my blood pressure was higher than normal. The entire pregnancy, my blood pressure was really low, like high 90s, really low 100s. So when I had went in for this appointment, my blood pressure was almost 130, and I was getting so super duper swollen to the point where, like, after work I would just be in tears because I was so swollen. So that was another red flag for my doctor. And then on top of all the things that were happening that, like, throughout my entire pregnancy with the baby and with myself, my doctor just decided that it was good for me to just be induced on the day of me being 39 weeks. She did send me over to labor and delivery so that they can monitor me for my twice weekly non-stress tests that I was getting, but she also wanted them to test me for preeclampsia, and if I showed positive for preeclampsia, then they were going to just keep me and induce me right then and there. However, the test came back negative, so I went home, and then I would be 39 weeks that Saturday. So I came back on Saturday, September 22nd at 8 a.m. to be induced. They took me straight into a room and they hooked me up immediately to an IV, and they immediately started the Pitocin. They did not check me because they said that I had gotten checked 2 days prior, and that, you know, whatever happens, happens, and that, you know, I didn't need to be checked. My OB had just checked me. I had been hooked up to an IV and Pitocin for 7 hours before the doctor finally came in and decided that it was time to check me to see how far dilated I was.
Yes, you did.
Oh. Maybe it's because I don't last that long since I'm not.
So how are you feeling right now?
Like a lot of pain in my back.
A lot of pain in your back?
Mm-hmm.
Not in your abdomen or anything?
I mean, I feel it in my, I feel contractions, but not as bad as what is in my back. And I'm hungry. Hopefully the doctor will come in and drink my water soon and check me, because I've been here for
That's 6 hours.
I've been here for almost 7 hours now, right?
7 hours.
This hospital, the way it works is that, like, I don't get my doctor, it's just whoever's on call that day. So the guy came in and he checked me and he was like, yeah, you're only like a half a centimeter dilated, and tried to send me home. And just in that moment, like, when he said that, like, I just wanted to just cry. Like, I've been laying here for 7 hours thinking that, like, okay, any minute now, like, I was already 3 centimeters coming into this thing, like, you know, this is almost over, and then you want to tell me that I'm a centimeter and a half and you want to send me home. Like, that was like, I was seriously, like, I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, I don't even remember what I said. I don't even think I really even said anything, and I just remember him saying over and over, I'm so sorry, like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, dude, I'm afraid of needles. You've already hooked me up to this IV. You've already had Pitocin pumping in my body for 7 hours now, and you, like, no, I'm not going home. I'm gonna stay here, and we're gonna do whatever we need to do to get this baby out. The doctor was like, oh, it'll be days before you give birth. It will be days. And I'm like, no, buddy. Like, no. His thing was to stop the Pitocin, give me a balloon, which is like this little thing, this bulb that they put inside your cervix, and then they fill it up with fluid so that eventually it'll open up, and by the time, and it'll fall out on its own once you've reached 3 to 4 centimeters. And this whole time I couldn't eat or anything, so they said that I could finally eat something. Once I eat, they'll come in, they'll put the balloon on, and then once that falls out, they'll start the Pitocin again. So there was a shift change at 7:30, and I got a new doctor, and I believe she was a midwife at that point, and I loved her. She checked me again, and she was like, I don't know what he was talking about. You're definitely like 3 centimeters, so this balloon's not gonna last long, but we'll put it in you anyway. So they went ahead, and I ate, and then around between 8 and 9, she came back and they inserted the balloons in me. I want to say I probably had the balloon for, I don't know, not even an hour, and then I started experiencing horrible contractions. Oh my gosh. My whole goal in all of this whole process was like, I don't want to get an epidural yet. Like, there's no way. You just told me that I was like 1.5 centimeters dilated. There's no way I'm like 8 centimeters already. So I like, this is a slow process. I don't want to just like jump the broom and get an epidural. I want to like tough it out and like last as long as I possibly can. So I decided that I wanted to get into the tub, and because our room had like a jacuzzi in it, and it was the best thing ever. If you're watching this video and you are getting ready to give birth and you have a hot tub in your labor and delivery room, I strongly recommend getting in it, because it was obviously didn't take the contractions away completely, but it was just more soothing, and I feel like I could relax more through the contractions, so it kind of made it feel like it wasn't hurting as bad. So anyway, I got into the tub, and I honestly feel like, so the balloon, when they put the balloon inside of your cervix, they also tape the tube or whatever that's sticking out to your legs, so that every time you're moving, you're kind of tugging on the balloons a little bit and forcing the balloons to come back out of your cervix. But I feel like the nurse pulled it like really tight, and so like the slightest move from me was hurting so bad. I sat there for, I don't know, maybe a half an hour or so, and then when I got out, I had to go to the bathroom. And when I went to the bathroom, the balloon fell out into the toilet, and also came like my whole mucus plug, like my bloody show, everything came out. And then once the balloon came out though, I had no more contractions, like they were gone. So I laid back down and they checked me again, and I was 4 centimeters at this point. And I want to say for like an hour, like I had no contraction. About an hour later, so I want to say it was probably around 11:30 at this point, my contractions started to pick up a lot more, and my water broke. My husband was like laying at the bottom of my bed and he was sleeping, and I was in so much pain at this point again that I kind of was just like, oh, my water broke. Like I was just so miserable. Like I couldn't show any emotion behind it or get happy or anything. I'm just like, oh, okay, my water broke. Yeah, I might want to call the nurse now. Once my water broke, the nurse came in, she checked me, and I had a little bit of meconium in my fluid from my water breaking, but it was just a little bit, and so they said that they weren't really concerned about it. At this point, my contractions were really like picking up. They were really up there. A lot of times when women didn't want the epidural, they would just opt for the drug fentanyl instead, to kind of ease the pain a little bit. So I'm like, what's that drug? Like, just give that to me. Like, I'm good. There's no way that I'm super dilated yet. No, there's no way. It's not time for an epidural yet. Mind you, I was in so much freaking pain already. It took them forever, like 30 minutes to an hour, to bring the fentanyl back. And at that point I was like, yeah, as you're putting this into my IV, go give me an epidural right now. Like I can't take it. And it took them another like hour to bring me the epidural, and at this point like I was screaming. Like I couldn't take it. I just can't even explain to you the pain that I felt. Like I still am sitting here, and I'm still 2 months later shocked that that was a thing. Like my body went through that. Like this is insane. I don't know. It was just a pain that I have never felt in my entire life, and I don't know, kudos to those of you that go all the way without getting epidural or anything, and kudos to you that have gone to birth classes and have actually stuck through it, because I feel like no birth class, no person could calm me down or tell me to just breathe through it, because everything that I have ever known or learned was thrown out the window from the pain that I experienced. And mind you, this is the first time that I ever really felt true contractions, because when I was induced with Charlie, I had an external cephalic version where they have to turn her, because she was breached, they turned her from the outside of my stomach. So that procedure, I had to get an epidural, and then they induced me right then and there. So I had an epidural from minute 1. So I never felt any pain or anything when giving birth to Charlie, except for delivery. The epidural wore off on the right side. But this time, like, oh my gosh. And then by the time they finally brought me the epidural, I'm just screaming like, when is this gonna work? When is it gonna work? When is it gonna work? Like, it was unbelievable. I just can't even express to you the pain. But you know what? I don't want to scare anybody or anything. Like, it was a pain that I never ever in my life thought that I would ever have to experience. But at the same time, like, it makes me feel amazing that I actually did go through that. So this was all around 1 o'clock when like all of this was happening, and they finally brought me the epidural, and I couldn't sit down. I was in so much pain that like I didn't want to sit down on the bed. So when they finally got the epidural in me or whatever, my nurse literally took my body and was like, or she asked the anesthesiologist, help me lay her down. And she took my body and she literally was just like, like she just pushed me down. And she's like, I need to check you. You won't sit down. Like, I need to make sure there's no baby coming out of you. And she checked me and she's like, yeah, there's a head right there. So basically, I waited to get an epidural until the head was coming out. So that's why I was in so much pain. So my advice to you is, if you plan on getting an epidural, do not wait until your baby's head is coming out. Finally, when I started to push, I could feel the medicine kind of kick in my stomach area, but down there was no numbness. Like, I felt everything. The OB rushed, or the midwife rushed in, and she brought in, my husband was in there, my grandma had flew in to be there, and my husband's mom, and then my stepmom was in there as well. I had 4 pushes, and the crazy thing is, like I said, I felt everything down there. So I was like trying to like close my left leg so bad because I just wanted to, like, I don't know, like, it was just so painful. They always explain it as if it feels like you're gonna take a poop, but it didn't feel like I was pooping. It felt like she was going to rip open like my vagina, like the part where you pee out of, and that's where I felt all the pressure. So I just kept trying to like bring my leg down, like it was hurting so bad, and I felt so scared to push because I honestly felt like she was going to rip me open in a place that I shouldn't be feeling like I was gonna get ripped open. So the nurse was not happy with me. I could just tell, and I, like, the whole time through all my contractions and everything, I kept apologizing because I didn't want to be like known as like weak. I didn't want her, like, I didn't want to be a screaming person or anything. Like, I never imagined myself to be that way. But anyway, so during the pushing, she just kept taking my leg and pushing, like slamming it back down on like the stirrups or whatever. And she's like, you can't push the baby back inside of you. Stop, stop putting your leg down. So anyway, 4 pushes later, and little Miss Blake came out. She was weighing 6 pounds and 1 ounce. It was really nice because they actually kept her on my chest for like 30 minutes. They didn't take her right away and start measuring her and weighing her and all that stuff. So we really got to bond for like 30 minutes, and it was really, really nice. The only thing that I hated about it was the fact that she pooped coming out. So when they put her on me, like, I literally was like holding her like this because there was like poop all over my hands, poop all over her back, poop everywhere, but they did not clean it up, and so we just laid there and pooped for 30 minutes.
Here.
Yes, dimple. Is that Michaela's dimple? Oh. He's so cute, baby. Look at that.
But regardless, it was an experience that I will live to tell for the rest of my life. And she is a beautiful little girl, and she's perfect and amazing, and I'm just so happy to have her in my life. And I have 2 beautiful girls, and they are the best things in the entire world. So now that we are done with my story, then I can show you guys Blake. Okay, meet Miss Blake. She's such a turkey. Oh my gosh, look how big she is already at 2 months old. Her shirt says me and mama for life. Right, Blakey? For life? Now that this is done and this, you guys can enjoy it, I am ready to start making other videos with both of my beautiful girls. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. If you have any questions for me, please don't hesitate to ask. Like I always say, leave them down in the comment box below. I will gladly answer any questions that you have. If you are watching this video and you are about to go into labor, or you are giving birth, or you are pregnant, good luck to you, and I hope that your labor and delivery goes amazing. Please like, share, and subscribe to my video and my channel. Thumbs up if you like this and you'd like to see more pregnancy related, young mom related videos from me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye.